So, welcome to our Reading is Thinking workshop. So tonight I would just like to introduce to you our teachers. We have Amanda Raison, we have Nicole Giannoni, Paula Gill, Julia Baker and Michael Simorosti, and we also have Joanne Livingston at the back, who is our Deputy Principal. We're going to begin tonight with an acknowledgement of land. So tonight we acknowledge that we live, learn, work and play on Kaurna country. We acknowledge the Kaurna people as the continuing custodians of the Adelaide Plains and pay our respect to elders past and present. And we'll start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God, as we encounter your image in every child, no matter what age, we ask for wisdom and your grace. See the wonder and awe of the world through the eyes of children. Acknowledge and celebrate their agency. Listen to their voices with respect and understanding. Celebrate with them as they live who they are called to be. Invite and nurture their full participation in life and community. Value their relationships and heritage. Commit ourselves to their right to dream, to seek meaning, to love, to grow, in knowing that they are your children loved by you. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I've introduced our staff, and I'm Tony Fitzgerald and I'm Assistant to the Principal in Learning and Wellbeing at the school. Paula is not a classroom teacher. She's actually our reading intervention teacher as well as the librarian at school. I'd like you just to begin by introducing yourself to the person next to you and also possibly just saying what you hope to get out of the evening tonight. Okay, so this is some time for you just to chat really quickly. We need the air conditioner. Do you want to pass the bowl of lollies along?
Oh, okay then.
I'm going to pass the bowl of lollies along, take one and... Need a little bell. Need a bell. Need a bell? Maybe again. Okay, we might just gather back. Does that work? One more time. Thank you. So is anyone brave enough to just share something that they would like to get out of this evening? Yes?
So just some tips to keep them enthused and how to get them on the path to learn properly.
Yep, good. Lovely. Excellent. Thank you. All right, so let's begin. Reading is thinking. Reading is a problem-solving activity in which the reader constructs meaning, from print using information from many different sources. So it's not just the words that we're paying attention to. It involves making meaning from print, knowing the structure of language, so when to use swim or when to use swam, using visual clues, using the visual cues we use our knowledge of sounds and how they are represented in print. So at the beginning of the year, the reception children are spending a lot of time working on Jolly Phonics, working through the sounds, because that is the beginning stage of reading. Reading is so much more than just knowing letters, sounds and words.
Thank you. The importance of reading. The ability to read is essential to daily life, but also has the potential to be so much more than that and functional. Reading takes us to new and exciting worlds, taps into our emotions, makes us feel, can teach us, and inspire our curiosity. The best things we can do as educators and families is to work together to show the importance of reading and develop in our children a love of reading. At home, it is also a special time to bond with your child, and reading can be so much more than just picture books. It can be things like songs, rhymes, cultural stories, comics as well. Reading is everywhere. It's, as you're driving in the car, you can see a stop sign. Concepts about print. Students develop knowledge through concepts about print before they begin to learn to read. Many of these concepts are developed before they come to school from home, when we're working with parents in the early years of their life. Concepts about print encompasses the understanding of the reading process. It's things like reading from left to right and reading from the top to the bottom. The fact that letters and words convey a meaning, and the print is what we read. You can model to your children the return sweep using your finger underneath the words, going slowly and carefully, and a smooth sweep along the line. Pointing out the illustrations of a book that correspond to the words. The orientation of a book. Each book has a front and a back. Every book has an author. And the organisation of print is intentional.
So as Julia sort of highlighted, she went through, I guess, just some overarching concepts about what is reading, what the kids need to know before they even attempt any strategies and skills. We also want to encourage in our students some dispositions for reading. Now, these aren't skills and strategies like be able to decode. These are attitudes towards reading. Things like we want them to be enjoying what they're reading. I'm not going to, you can hopefully all read this up here. I guess the dispositions to reading is really important so that they're not just reading because they have to, they're reading because they want to. They're reading because they want to learn about something. They're reading because they want to explore a new world or develop their sense of humour or read graphic novels when they're older or look at comics and making those connections. So I guess some of those things are underlying why we want kids to be able to read. And the more you read, the more we expose children to books, the more we read too, the more they read, the greater their love for reading will be. And I guess sitting in the room here, we are modelling to our youngest students that idea of a love of reading. I know if they see you pick up a book and say, let's come and read this story together, they're going to say, oh, hang on, mum or dad or grandma or grandpa or whoever, they love reading and I want to love reading too. So you're the role models in their lives at home to continue that love of reading that hopefully we're instilling here at school. Now, I don't like talking up here much, so I'm going to put it over to you guys. Now, I know some people here last year, so they're going to know this little game that I'm going to play with you. So if you do know these answers, just keep your hand down. But otherwise, I'm going to pick on people that I know that weren't here. Who can read that for me? And it's not swear words. I promise. We changed that out after feedback. No, I'm just kidding. Can anybody read that? Why can't you read it? It's science, yeah. Anything else? When kids first look at letters, do you think they know what they mean? It just looks like that to them, maybe? Yeah. So when they pick up a piece of paper, when they see words, writing anywhere, probably looks something like that to them? Yeah. All right, we'll go to the next slide. How about now? Anybody? Can anybody read that for me? Again, if you're here last year, just keep it hush. Don't mean to spoil the surprise. Can anybody read it now? Can anybody give me an idea about what it could be about then? A dinosaur chasing something? Why do you think that? Running fast? Yeah. So what's giving you those clues that that's what that writing's going to say? The picture. Thank you. So the picture is really super duper important for kids. Please never cover the picture up when you're reading with your child at home. Use the picture to talk to them about what they're reading. Make connections about what they can see in the picture. It's probably the first strategy that kids will go to use. They'll look at the picture, they'll try and make a guess. You know, the dinosaur is chasing something. You know, that's what they could say. Okay? We'll go to the next one. How about now? Anybody read that? Yeah? Anybody want to have a go at reading it? Could I pick on someone? Pick on Joe, but no. She's my boss, I better not. Anybody want to have a go? So what can we see now? Someone starts to see some words that you can recognise. So some high frequency words, some sight words. Yeah, the kids start to develop some understanding of those tricky words, sight words, high frequency words, magic words, words that essentially make up 75-80% of English language. Some of these words you just have to know, and as they start to recognise and be able to recall them, they'll start to see them in that. So we can recognise here is something in the something. Okay? Anyone want to have a go?
Here is the dinosaur in the movie.
Here's the dinosaur in the movie, yep.
Velociraptor in the forest.
Velociraptor in the forest. Dinosaur running in the forest. Yep. Were you here last year? No. But and there's some repeated symbols as well, so obviously maybe the same symbol is going to be for the same letter, make up some sound patterns. We'll go to the next one. So now kids, after they've done some work with their phonics, they're starting to recognise that letters make particular sounds. They know that, we know that this makes a d sound. Here is the d. We recognise that's an There's another in that word. I'm going to have a guess now because of my picture. I'm going to cross-check. Here is the dinosaur. I'm going to say running because the picture looks like it's running in the forest, jungle. Probably forest because I can see there's an in there. We'll go to the next one. Again, add a few more sounds. Well, we know it's dinosaur now, and we'll go to the last one. Well done. You learnt to read. If only it was easy as that. I guess that just highlights some strategies that Paula will talk to in just a moment about what the kids are going to start to use when they're going to try and decode, so understand to read, something that they're unfamiliar with. So Paula will go through some of them now, and you're probably saying, that's what I tried to do when you gave me all that gibberish at the start. Anyway,
Okay, so as well as classroom teachers teaching your child sounds, letters, high frequency words, we are also focusing on the strategies that the children will use when they come to unknown words as they are reading. So we've got a list up there. A child may bring prior knowledge to a book, and that will help them work out unknown words. So a child that already knows a lot about dinosaurs would have found that an easier text than the one we looked at previously, than a child who doesn't have any knowledge about dinosaurs. As Michael said earlier, we really encourage the picture cues that you will always find in children's levelled readers. They are the take-home readers that you will see coming home, if not now, shortly. So the pictures give them lots and lots of information to help them to solve those unknown words. There might be a pattern in the story, and you will see that in the early readers that go home. Many of them follow the same sentence structure. Here is a cat, here is a dog, here is a frog. One-to-one tracking. Something that we work very hard on when the children are just learning to read is making sure that every time they read a word, it's corresponding to the number of words on that page. So we will slow them down, we will get them to point at words, we will get them to make sure they're moving from left to right across the page. all helps them with that one-to-one tracking. I know that I've been listening to lots of children read in the last few weeks, and it's very common for early readers to get the beginning of a sentence and then they'll just go away with what they think the ending might be, and they might be telling us 10 words on a sentence that's only got a few words. So we'll always bring them back and help them to track and make sure that they're matching word for word as they are reading. Making predictions, that's something that's so valuable for children who are just starting to read. So if your child is bringing home a book, before you even start to read the book, you can have a conversation with them based on the pictures about what they think might be going to happen in the story. Really helps them to work out unknown words. The take-home stories that the children will bring home are all levelled, and high-frequency words are introduced in a particular order. So if your child was bringing home a level 3 book one day and the next day bringing home a different level 3 book, there will be the same high-frequency words across all of those books on the same level. Children, we also encourage them to focus on rhyming words, and also the words that have the onset of the word, so that they can work out what the first letter is in a word and then make a prediction about what the rest of the word might be. Oh, initial letter, I've just said that. In words, we are encouraging children to chunk those words out. For example, in a word like frog, we would be encouraging them to go frog. So they're chunking the word into two quite separate parts to help them to work out what the word would be. We encourage them to look for little words in big words, because that can be a clue as to what the unknown word might be. We encourage them to read on and to read back. When they are doing that, they are giving themselves extra time to try and work out what the word might be. A really good skill to encourage. As children become more skilled with their reading, they begin to do something which we call self-correcting. So they might read a sentence as the teddy bear is on a... Sorry, I'll start again. The teddy bear is on a bed, but they might read it as the teddy bear is on a bike, and then they'd have a closer look at the word and they would go back and fix the word up by themselves. Through that extra time that they've taken, when they look at the word and they say the word aloud, they might go, oh, hang on, that's not right, and you will hear them begin to self-correct their reading. Really good skill to observe and to encourage. Okay, so time for you to do a little bit more work as well. We've got 3 words up there. I'm not going to say them aloud, but what I would like you to do is to read them and make sure you know what they are. And then we're going to go on to the next slide. In the next slide, we're going to be using those words in sentences. So got the words all sorted? Everyone's good? Okay, here come the sentences. We would like you to chat to the person next to you about those words now. It's clever, isn't it? We included those words because we wanted to reinforce to you that reading is a really complex process, and that when you solve unknown words, you do more than just look at the word and phonetically work out what it is. You need to think about, as you're reading, and we do this all the time as adults when we're reading, you need to think about the context of what you are reading, because that too helps you to solve the word as you go. Any questions? Should we keep on moving? Moving on to Nicole.
Thank you. It's Paula.
So as Paula mentioned before, your children will start to bring home books that will have a certain number on the cover. That is purely for us as teachers an indication as to where they're at, and the data that we collect on them as to where their reading is, the strategies that they use. So a few times a term, us teachers will do a running record, which is an assessment, and we'll use the data that we've collected to see if they are using the strategies we are teaching them in class to then move them to another level. It's really important not to compare children's levels against one another. If you see them in a class where their reading level buckets are next to someone who's a level, for example, 10, and someone might be a 3, we all develop really differently and at different stages, so don't get so hung up on the level that they're reading. A lot of intervention with Paula and ourselves are being in place in the classroom, and we will get them to where they will need to be by the end of reception or year 1. And as Paula said, the strategies that we use in class, the children will